Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies, a podcast about people sharing extraordinary stories about how music has impacted their lives.
Welcome, everybody, to Music Junkies. Today, I have my great friend, Lana. I'm so excited. I love your playlist, by the way. Tons of great songs in there, and I'm so excited for you to join us today. I want you to tell me a little bit about your experience putting your playlist together.
My experience was just wanting to listen to those songs today again, and sometimes it's just 100% country, so just to have a mix of country and like pop and things, and these are all songs that my kids love too, so we just jam out to all these songs. So it was lots of fun.
I love it. So when I reached out to you, what did you think? Oh my God, like what was kind of your first reaction when I reached out to you? Hey, I want to interview you. What did you think?
I love you, Annette, so I do anything for you.
Good answer. So we're gonna kick it off with your first song.
All
the kings had their queens on the throne.
Right, great song, Kings and Queens. So tell me a little bit about that song and what it means to you.
Well, that song I probably wouldn't have listened to fully if my daughter, who's almost 7, wasn't in the back. I love this song. So I got to listening to it, and I ended up loving it. Because I love to listen to words of the song, right? And not to say that I'm on like a women's power movement, but it's so true. And this Darren Hardy course I'm taking, 87% of his team is women, and he talks us up all the time, right? So I love how it says, if all the kings put the queens on the throne. And it's so true how different a lot of areas of life would be, right? So
yeah, a lot of different areas for sure. Right. So would you classify yourself as a good singer?
Yeah, actually I used to do music festivals when I was younger. Yeah. And my mom's probably still have the certificate somewhere that I got from music festivals and stuff as soloist. I was never in a group, but yeah, as a soloist. And that was more elementary, and then I got away from it because I became quite shy about my vocal stuff. So, but when I'm by myself, I really give her.
What kind of music? Like, what kind of music did you do in your music festivals? Like, your inspiration, your inspiring artist.
Oh, well, it was your music teacher that selected the song, right? So, and then basically we would just work on our lunch hours on perfecting, like, where vocals and stuff went. And I mean, I don't remember any of it, but my girlfriend actually went to school for that because she pursued it further throughout high school and stuff like that, and piano and all those other things. And she actually went to school for it. So we sometimes get together and belt things out, but yeah, awesome. I'm always kind of shy about it. I'm not one to get up there and sing karaoke unless I've had a lot to drink. So
what would be your go-to karaoke song though?
Oh, I love Dixie Chicks.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a big Dixie Chicks fan. I don't know. I've been told I kind of have like similar vocals, like when people have overheard me sing, with music at a party or something like that. Yeah. So, love the Dixie Chicks, and yeah, and just so many more. I don't know. I just love music in general. So.
Yeah, I do too. So this next song, Be the Light. I know there's got to be a pretty powerful story behind that. What makes you love that song so much?
Well, this song came out last year, and obviously a lot of people know, like, I didn't even realize at first that it was around the whole Black Lives Matter, but this song spoke to me because I've always been one, no matter kind of that saying about you never know what somebody's battle is going on, regardless of them having a smile. So always be kind. Right. So this song actually became mine and my kids' song. Right. And if they were fighting or there was tension, I would turn this song on, crank it, and there would just be a calmness that came over amongst us, right? And we even played for my parents the song and like blasted it out to everybody, and even like this Hero's Journey group that I did. It's just a song that I feel everybody should just learn to be a light in somebody else's life, right? Or a light in people's life in general, right? Even when you're in a grocery store and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, it just warms me. It just makes me warm right down to the soul.
Yeah. That is such a good model to live for. Just be kind to people, especially in the world that we're living in today. I feel like we are so ego driven that we are lacking being kind to people.
Yeah.
All the time. We were just at a grocery store the other day, and this, we're in line, we're like putting this stuff on the little thing, and this lady like comes from like in front of us. I don't even know how she even got ahead of us, but she just slams the cake down. The price is supposed to be $12.99. And we're just kind of sitting there, and the lady's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and like runs her card through. She obviously budged in line. And she's like, "I have no idea, what's going on." And she's like, "You know what? Forget about it. I don't even need to worry about it right now." And so I always make a habit of when I see something like that, I'm always like, I think it's good to sympathize. I'd like to say, geez, that chick was a bitch, but I obviously can't say that.
Yeah.
But I say something along that line so they know what I'm talking about, and at least get them, get their state changed, because that can affect them for the rest of the day. And people don't understand that. It's not her fault that it was labeled $13.99 and you saw a sign when you left the store saying $12.99. That's she owned the store. So it's so crazy how reactive our world is.
Yeah.
Very reactive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I had a story like that too. I was in Costco the one time, and I always get to chatting or try to, open up open-ended questions, or just, personable and stuff like that with the cashier. And as she's taking the other person, she just like went to me. She's like, "Thank you for just being so positive." Right. And like, just so happy. Like she said, "You just made my day." And I'm just thinking, I don't know what she's gone through all day. Right. Like I was just being me. Right. That's just who I am. And I guess I love that about me. And I'm trying to instill that in my kids too. They're just, for the most part, until they're home, very positive children.
Yeah.
And just bringing that gratitude to light, right?
Yeah, random acts of kindness on a daily basis. I literally have that on my habit tracker, because I think because I have, I am very competitive. I have to remind myself that my end goal is not going to make me happy.
Yeah.
It's a journey along the way.
Yeah.
I have to always remind myself. So me doing random acts of kindness like warms my heart. Warms my heart. And I love that. Love it. So speaking of warm my heart, old Katy Perry, right?
Love this song.
I can feel, I see you like on stage, it's like hands up, right? I love it.
That's it. That's my vision, is like, what song is going to be playing when I'm up going on stage to speak for like 20 minutes, right? When through different things, and yeah. And I guess I, like, when I did watch TV, I don't watch TV anymore. When she was on, I can't remember that. I just love her. And actually Garth Brooks talks about her too, about how strong she is, a strong person, right? And yet kind. You can see it. You can see it in on whatever TV show that was. I can't even remember, a long time ago, where they, pick singers. I can't remember. Idol,
America's Got Talent, or
American Idol, I think, or something. Yeah, her and Blake Shelton, and I can't remember the other person, but just her mannerisms and stuff like that too. And I just look to her as, not that I don't like all of her songs, but this is a song that just really just, yeah. And for a period of time up until recently, this song, I just felt like, oh, like, as a female, I think we put ourselves down so much, and we don't want to play this song, because then we I was singing myself, and then I feel like I'm coming out and people are going like, oh, she's like, like a woman activist and stuff like that. Like I get that negative thoughts in my head. And now, like, just through this hero journey with Darren Hardy and the way he talks about us as women from a male perspective, this song has just got a whole new life to it, right? Because he's so right in the sense that we put ourselves down and we are the ones that carry more empathy than anybody, right? And can empathize with, from young infants to elderly, because that's our nature. We're born with it.
Yeah.
And also he talks about interviewing, how males interview as an eagle, but when they're hired, they quack like a duck. And then when women interview, they interview like ducks, but when they're hired, they perform like eagles, because they're putting themselves down, and they generally don't apply for a lot of positions because they want to make sure that they get confidence in 100% of what they do. Right. So this hero's journey has just brought this new light, and the way he speaks about women, and it's just like, this song's got a new life to it for me now. So
Love it. I don't know if you've ever read this book before, but it is called The Rage Becomes Her. It is probably the most phenomenal book I've ever read. And I'm not like a woman activist. This book blew my mind. I can't even believe it. Anytime I see a woman, I'm like, you got to read this book, right?
Mhm.
You got to read this book. It's crazy. Make sure you buy it. It's on Amazon.
Okay. Well,
it's so good. I don't know
and
who
I completely get
it is. Just type in Rage Becomes Her. It's like a red title. It's like aggressive, like it'll pop out for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'll get it, because I've got a team of women, and we actually started a Soul Sunday every Sunday at 9:30 after all our kids are in bed, and we just get together. We don't talk about work. We just talk about mental, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like how are you feeling? Like, and yeah, so we just
That's an
communicate.
incredible book. You'd love it. So when you were growing up, was there like a female artist that you admired or you wanted to be like?
Female artist.
Or maybe a male artist?
You know what? From a female artist perspective, from a singing perspective, I loved singing to Juice Newton.
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome.
Like, so my mom, like Angel of the Morning.
That's
and
Tyler's song that was on his playlist. That was his first song that he put.
Who's Tyler's? Really?
He loves
Really? Angel of the
He
Yeah.
loves
And my mom has the record, and like Haiti was only 2 weeks old, and so my sisters and my mom got to go see her sing live and stuff like that. So there was a lot of female artists, but yeah, but I think we listen to more male artists than anything. But yeah, I would say female artists, just from a music standpoint. Not that I ever really wanted to be her, but yeah, from a music standpoint, Juice Newton for sure.
Yeah.
Always pump me up.
And we play that song all the time and when we're out at the property, and get everybody to sing to that song, Angel in the Morning. I love it. Here's a great song.
It's got a great tune, and I feel like we could be at the Stampede two-stepping to that song. Yep, or BVJ, Big Valley Jamboree, right? So yeah, not happening this year, but yeah,
it isn't. It's not happening this year.
No, for sure not, right? Because I mean, there's 60-some thousand people, right, that are there. So yeah,
Stampede, we'll figure that.
I don't get that. I don't know that I would attend something like that yet, but who knows? But yeah, this just gets me, your feet stomping, and you just picture like everybody just around live concert music. And this is one of those that when it comes on in the morning, I'm just like singing, like I got a feeling, and it's just a pump up to the day. And yeah, Tim Hicks, just I became a fan of him. I don't follow him or listen to a lot of his music, but when it comes out in one of these really pump up songs, it just gives me good feelings.
Did you ever grow up with a nickname?
Lana Banana.
Oh, so when did that start?
From my Auntie Khaki, because I called her, she was Auntie Kathy and I called her Auntie Khaki. So she started calling me Lana Banana. So the only person that calls me Lana Banana now is my cousin Amanda. She's got disabilities, right? But her and I have been close our whole life. She's only 2 years older than me. And so she's the only one that publicly and when she calls me, and she actually calls me about once a week just to check in, see how I'm doing. Just she needs somebody to talk to. She lives on her own.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
You didn't get through the elementary school or high school, just family.
just family. No nicknames. Yeah. Like even when I played sports, I never had a nickname.
Really?
I never had a nickname. No, not until like my adult life. And that's because my mom baked cookies for the whole team, even as an adult. So then they started calling me Cookie, but it really never stuck. So
Thank God.
yeah, I know. So yeah, so no, I actually never had a nickname. Never had a nickname. Nobody ever called me Lana Banana or nothing. So none of my friends had a nickname for me. Yeah. So it was always Lana.
That's good though. You didn't want that getting out in elementary school, right? You go
No.
and show up on your desk, you have all these bananas on there. That'd be a lot. You'd be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your favorite? Have you ever been, obviously you've been to concerts. What was your favorite concert? You have a favorite?
I've been to so many. Um,
It's hard when you've seen so many concerts. Which one kind of stands out for you?
definitely Garth Brooks. I dreamed of going to him live, and I got the year he was in Vegas. We stayed longer and went and seen him at T-Mobile because we didn't think he was coming to Alberta. And prior to that, my first time was seeing him at Stampede when he played there. And even Kurt at that time didn't realize how much of a fan of Garth Brooks I really was, even though I've got all his box sets and stuff like that. So he went and got me a t-shirt and stuff. So I don't know. I've followed him my whole life, watched his live concerts and stuff like that. Just the charity work he does, like, the free stuff. He's just a humble person. And I ended up meeting somebody who actually we ran into him at Cabela's after that big thing, and him and his wife actually won the radio station thing where they got to go. And he's like, yeah, I was sitting by myself and Garth just came over with a beer for me and sat and started chatting. I was by myself. Right. But yeah, like he truly is who you see, right? And yeah, and like I said, all the charity work he did, like even like the New York Central Park concert was all for charity, and how packed that was. And I can remember watching it on TV and stuff. So yeah, I would say he is definitely. And now with the Garth channel, it's just like this whole new, like, wow, like you're starting to
Good. It's cool because they get to branch out. I've never seen him, but my brother's seen him and he said that he was absolutely amazing, like an incredible, and then, he's been in the industry for so long. What was really amazing for Brent was that he did so many of his old songs. A lot of times we go to these concerts and why we're really going to them is to see their old stuff. Not like their good, new stuff is bad, but if I'm going to see Guns N' Roses, I don't want to hear your new album.
Yeah.
Right? I want to hear your old albums. That's what I want to hear. I don't care about your new album.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the first thing he says when he gets on stage. He plays maybe one of his newest songs, and the rest he's like, you guys didn't come here for me to play new stuff. He's like, it's the old stuff, right? And then at the end, like when kind of like his after stuff, he goes to the crowd and asks them what he wants to sing, and he does it like all like solo, or sometimes his band comes out, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know, just the energy received from him. And I've seen a lot from country artists to like Nickelback, Backstreet Boys, One Republic, like, yeah.
So going to the Backstreet Boys, who is your guy, right? What guy did you love the most?
The shorter blonde one, what was his name? I can't even remember. No, not Nick, because that would be, Nick was the one that went on his own. Not Danny. I can't even remember.
Kevin, I believe his name.
Kevin. No, Kevin's the
And
tall
the
one.
big eyebrows.
Yeah, Kevin had the big eyebrows, but you know, the shorter blonde kind of
Who is
one.
that? Nick. It's not Nick.
Brian?
Oh, I thought Brian was. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. We should phone Chad. Can I call a friend?
Yeah, that was Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were my two first concerts I went to.
No way. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so and they were awesome.
I have not seen them. I was a little bit more a rocker when I was growing up. I did not see NSYNC but I like them.
Yeah, and Spice Girls. Listen to Spice Girls a lot. Yeah.
I was born and raised. It's a good song. It reminds me of Brett Kissel a little bit. Hey, that beginning part.
And they're from small town Saskatchewan. 5 brothers, right? They farm still, and this was like their first song. And actually, my son did this song for one of his school projects, right? Where you had to pick a song that spoke to him. And we love this song because I mean, I fought really hard to keep the acreage, and we drive 7 kilometers of gravel. We back onto Battle River Valley. We have this gorgeous view. And yeah, just as an acreage. And this just, as much as I thought I was going to be a city girl growing up, I was ready to move to Toronto with TD Bank. I said, yeah, transfer me wherever you want in this country, because you write that down once you become a manager, or like, so they can access that and send you wherever. Building this house out here in 2006. Made me realize how much I love, and COVID year created this awesome bubble out here for us that nobody, like our neighbor has a playground, so we didn't have to like worry about tape around a playground, right? Trampoline, we set up target practices so the kids could shoot BB guns. My dad gave them BB guns last year, and came out, and my daughter, even, she pulls out the daisy and she teaches other kids how to shoot them. So we do that. And it speaks to my heart. It's like a family song, right? Like just born and raised. And my parents both grew up on farms. And that's why I say, as a girl, I know how to do so much, right? Like, yeah. So
awesome. I love it. This next song I've never heard.
You have to watch the movie.
Confident Demi Lovato. I haven't really heard very much of her stuff.
Well, I probably would have never heard this song because it wasn't played on the radio much if we wouldn't have watched. So on Netflix, we found this movie called Ballerina. Or no, I bought it. I can't remember. I can't remember if it started on Netflix or whatever. This movie called Ballerina, and it's not by Pixar or Disney or any of those big. It's like a Canadian French company.
Oh, no way.
And so look for the movie Ballerina. Even my son loved it.
No way.
And a song comes out at the end of the movie of this orphan girl who like kind of lies her way into this French dance school versus this girl who's like born and given everything, right? And at the end, her and this really rich girl have this dance off, and this is the song playing.
The total dance off song.
Yeah, and she just totally, the orphan girl ends up kicking the other girl's ass, and when the instructor asks like what, because they're fighting for a position in the play The Nutcracker, and when the big dude guy, like head dance guy, asks both girls, why do you dance? That was the question throughout the movie. Why do you dance? And even the orphan girl couldn't really get it. And at the end, she's like, it's in my heart. It's in my blood. I love it. Like, it's my passion. The other girls basically said, because my mom wants me to.
Wow.
Right. And so for an adult, it's such a crazy story, even about life, right? Like pursuing dreams and stuff like that. And the song comes at the end. So my daughter loves this song, and she pauses and gets all her hair's got to be done up in a bun, and she's rocking out to it and like forming like a ballerina and doing all this other stuff. So yeah. And even my son, like I said, for a ballerina movie, he loved it. We probably watched it 5 or 6 times, recommended it to so many people. And that's where this song came from. And this is another song like on top of Katy Perry's Roar that I definitely would love to like walk out on stage to, right? Because I think confidence is our key to a lot of things in life. And the more we do, the more confident we become. So
Yeah, I do. I do think so. Obviously, you've had some transitions in your life, and obviously rebuilding that confidence. You've been single for a little bit. Have you been on any bad dates?
no,
No, no bad
no.
dates, or no dates at all.
Oh no, I've dated. Yeah, I dated and
No bad dates, though.
no, but I haven't like done a lot, right? Like so yeah, last year I went like guys that I didn't want to like continue dating, right? But they wanted to continue dating me, right? Like that's been the hardest part is like letting them down easy, right? So
Are you texting them? Hey, listen, this is just not working out. Heart
the
fade.
the one I had to, because we dated for a while and he was like in love with me and like wanting to marry me and only been like a few months and yeah and just lack of motivation there and the conversations were less and less and he wasn't seeing the big picture of my drive and motivation and me seeing how unmotivated he was and I
Yeah.
finally sent him this long message and say like I want to talk to you in person tomorrow, but I just needed to get this all out in a text message, but just not what I wanted to do. And yeah. Yeah. And since that kind of like few month relationship, which was good in the beginning last year. Yeah, no, they're actually, I don't go on dating apps. They create anxiety in my life. So I believe the universal will create and bring somebody to me at that time. I'm just focused on me and my kids and work and yeah.
Good. It's awesome. So what is the most daring thing you've ever did?
Daring thing I've ever done.
Have you ever jumped out of a plane? Have you ever, walked on fire?
Zip lined, like
Where'd you zip
many
line?
times. Pardon?
In a whole bunch of different places around the world, or?
Mexico, and then I zip lined. I've probably zip lined like 7 times in Vegas, right? Like both types and I guess roller coasters, but and then zip lined in Vermeer last year, and yeah, that was. Like,
Are you a risk taker, or are you pretty conservative?
You know what? I used to be, but I think having children, definitely that fear, that frontal cortex definitely comes out, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I've got kids, right? But
I was literally, and I've never been, obviously we're in Calgary, but I've never been to West Edmonton Mall, like the water park, and we took the kids there. This is when they were really young.
yeah.
And I have never been afraid of heights. Like I grew up in Nanaimo, and like that's where bungee jumping started. Like we would go up there and drink beers all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I never was like scared. But I was like walking up the waters. I got to like the purple one, like halfway, and I couldn't fucking move. Like I was frozen. Isaiah and Ayla go down to get Tyler, and they're like, Mom is like frozen. She can't, like, she's freaking out. She's can't move. So I was scared walking up the steps to go on a stupid water slide. So I don't know where this fear of heights came from, but it's there. It's there.
Having kids, right?
Yeah.
Having kids, I think, because we just have something else that we're essentially living for, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never heard this song before. This Map Dot.
Oh, that's new. It came out just last year. So in Jess Moskluck, the story behind her is she had some songs that came out. There was 2 years BVJ in a row that she got rained out and couldn't actually perform. She did get to perform one, but then last year, Fairmont Banff Springs had a concert series every weekend. And so she ended up being the performer October 23rd. I still remember last year. And the song came out just before that. So the guy that I was dating last year, and he'd never been to the Fairmont. So I booked it, and we went. So it was so intimate and nice. I'm like, this is what my parents like did when my parents got to sit at a little table front of the stage in front of Roy Orbison, right? Like the stories that they tell me of like their kind of music journey, I guess. And so it was so awesome. And then I actually got to talk to Carmen, her manager, and I didn't buy any of the CDs because you could download everything, but she had a Christmas CD. I'm like, oh, I'll get that. And then I had Carmen go to the back and get her to personally sign it to my daughter, Haiti. And her Christmas CD was mostly all we listened to this Christmas time. And she just absolutely loved the music. And this Map Dot, again, is like born and raised. It's like small town. And she's a small town Saskatchewan girl again, about the small little town. Not that I live in a small little town, but even like where my little subdivision is, it's just this little Map Dot that nobody knows about, right? And we just have our own little community here and our own like relationships with my neighbors and stuff like that. And yeah, so the song really just speaks to me about, you know, small town, that home feeling, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's so nice. What's your if you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
Ooh. I thought you were gonna ask me what's superhero, but now what's my superpower? To heal.
Yeah, I like that.
To heal. And I think a lot of that goes to my journey with my son and his diabetes. There's so much. And I actually took my Reiki level 1 last year. And I know once I get to my like masters, and he understands too, because when I do Reiki on him, he feels the energy. Like we're like so in tune with each other. So I've healed him. Actually, he calls me a witch because so there's times when something's sore, especially with all his sports and stuff like that. And the first time I remember I ever worked on him, he didn't understand what it was. And so I did it, and it was his knee, and he was wearing a tensor bandage, right? He'd like had a bad skateboarding accident. And so, I mean, I worked on his whole body and got to his knee. And by the end of the session, we was sitting on the couch and just chatting, and he's having water. And I said, so how's your knee? He's like, my knee. And he starts like moving it, bending it, and standing up and walking around. He's like, what'd you do? And he's like freaking out.
I have another book for you. I don't know what it's called right now. I'll text it to you, but you should look up Master Co if you like all that stuff. Do you know who he is?
Master Co. No.
KO. I think it's Master Stephen Co. He is phenomenal. Phenomenal. You would love him if you love all that energy work, right? He's amazing. So go check him out. He's awesome.
Okay.
Next song here. See, another good little beat, right? They just get you. For me, when I listen to music, if they can't get me in the first couple of seconds, like sometimes it's hard for me to keep listening.
Yeah.
I gotta feel it, and I feel that song. It's awesome.
And that song actually blew up in all genres, right? It was number 1 across the board in all genres for
Miss Me More.
A long period of time. And that was a few years ago. And that one probably came out at a perfect time. There were so many songs in that, but more like not sadder songs that just don't have the tempo of this song. And this was right around the time that I purchased the commercial building, you know, and I mean, a lot of people don't know, like I'd actually asked Kurt to separate about 4 or 5 years ago. He slammed his fist on the table and said, what am I supposed to tell everybody? And yeah, I just shut down and just stopped having a voice. And so when I purchased this commercial building in 2018, obviously I didn't know that it was going to need a complete gut, but that gut ended up having me there demoing walls, working, visioning, and essentially playing music. And this was one of those songs that I played a lot. And, you know, just more and more realize, and I've been working with a therapist and stuff like that. And I just never had the confidence to officially say I was done to him until like in December after we got back from Mexico right after Christmas, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And yeah, and the fact that my daughter loves this song, oh, she just rocks out to it. And I look at the decision that I made and the confidence that I had in ending this stage of my life is going, and she's so young that it is going to definitely, even getting this tattoo, she already wants one. She's not even 7. So I said, well, like 16. Okay. Like how many more years till I'm 16, mom? I'm like, and we'll go get a mother-daughter tattoo. Right. And just instilling in her, right? Because this wasn't the only relationship I've been in my life where I didn't have the confidence, or, you know, was put down, or, you know, like suffocated, right? So yeah, so this is a song, and I love that, you know, the confident and the roar and the miss me more, and yeah, empowering women things. And this journey this year, this song is now just kind of reliving itself, like for me 3 years later, in a sense that I'm like, wow, like the things that I forgot that I love about me. Right? Is that I used to do that. I am liked by people. I am like, you know.
It's amazing that you can get so trapped or, you know, overwhelmed in that, where you are in a relationship and you know, become one. You're not separate identities anymore. And then one of you always loses their sense of identity. And then when you separate, you do, you know, I know that I felt like that when I was never married. We just separated. Thank God I was not married, right? And had to go deal with that. But even going through that process, and the biggest struggle that I felt kind of going through that is, am I going to be able to take care of these kids on my own? Right. That was, I'm staying because I was mostly staying because I wanted to make sure that I could afford it. And while I was a single mom, it was so crazy going through all of that, because he wasn't paying child support either. Is that things would just magically appear, right? I would magically get like a GST check in the mail, or whatever. Somebody would want to rent a room because I had a big house with a basement suite. So like, it was just so random stuff that it always, no matter what, it always worked out.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is I never trusted it though. Right. I'd always be in this worry, frenzy, crazy state. And then once that was taken care of, then I could relax. If I just was calm, probably more would have came my way. But I was always worried. I was always like, yeah, it was always very, very stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I've been trying to really manage without this. Cause I mean, yeah, it's about 10,000 a month, right? That I need just to live and cover all our shit without affecting my credit too, right? I know his credit would be affected if I didn't pay our loans, and to ensure that the kids still get to do the things that they love, and that I don't have to say, I'm sorry, like mom can't pay for this. And I'm trying not to and I'm not saying negative things about their dad, and that he hasn't paid anything and is not helping support us at all. Right.
Yeah.
That it is 100% me, and maybe someday they'll find out. And if they don't, they don't, right? It's right.
So what are your 2, if you have 2, but most people have 2, what are your biggest pet peeves?
One of them is phones.
This is my favorite question, because I love it, because at first people are like, I don't know. And then they're like, oh my God, you know what drives me up the wall? And I love it.
People on their phones, right?
Yes.
Like
when you're like in a meeting, or you're just visiting for coffee, and they're like,
yep.
Like I actually drove here to see you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? Like it, and that was another thing. And I tried to talk to Kurt about this all the time, that it's tearing our family apart, where he'd show up at the table with his phone, like, or be on his phone, or, you know, he like would physically like message me, even though he was in the house to do something.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
like that because
Yeah.
it shows that that person that's texting you right now, regardless of who they are more important than the time that we're spending right now.
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And if I have to, like, even when I'm around my kids, if I have to look at my phone or I'm texting something, I'm explaining what I'm doing, who I'm texting, and why
Yeah.
it's for, so that they know that it's not because they're not important. It's just that I have to take care of this, and then I can be present with you, right? And I remember my son coming downstairs the one day heading to school, getting ready for school, and he sees my phone sitting on the counter, and I've got all these, you know, how these like alerts are on your phone, right? And he's like, Mom, like, you have all these alerts on your phone. I'm like, yeah, my phone's not important in the morning, right? You guys are important in the morning, right? I didn't say that specifically. He's like, Dad never has those on his phone. I'm like, yeah, because he's always on his phone. And then, yeah, meetings or BPMs or like, you know, speakers and stuff like that. That is one of my biggest distractions. And that's where the Zoom kind of meetings is good, because you're not having that distraction of seeing other people just constantly on their phone messaging and doing things.
Yeah.
So that would be like my biggest pet peeve is phones, right? It is tearing, it's creating good things for us, but it's tearing the majority of this world apart too. In the home, the values and stuff that we grew up having, right? Where none of those things existed, right? And the freedoms. And the only reason my son has his phone on him is because he's diabetic and he needs it. It's his device, but I will call him out on it, right?
Do you have another pet peeve?
I'm trying to think. Another pet peeve.
If you don't, that's okay. Right?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, yeah. People walking. So I have an attached garage. And I don't know why, when all our shoes are out on the landing outside of the house, that people feel they need to come into my house with their shoes on.
It's like, hey, this is kind of obvious. Like, this is where shoes go. All right, next song. It's a good song. I Live by One Republic. It's pretty. It's a pretty song.
It's a beautiful song. And One Republic, this would be like one of their newer songs, not that it's new, but that was one of the, because Counting Stars was the first song that got me connected to One Republic. And then I actually missed the BPM night to go watch, because it was kind of like my WFG pump up music was that song. And going to their concert, like, which I paid like $30 for, and whatever that, I can't remember, where, you know, where we used to have that platform where you could get tickets on Groupon.
Yeah.
And I took Kurt there, and it was honestly one of the most entertaining concerts I'd been to in such a long time. And and then when this song recently had come out, I'm just like, it is so true. I just want to say, like, I lived, I enjoyed, and my mom worries about me because I don't sit still for a minute, and I'm always thinking and doing and planning and all this other stuff. But it's just like, why? Like, I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV since like March, right? Like, I haven't turned on a TV other than movie nights with the kids. That's our tradition, right? Is movie nights. But
what's one piece of advice you would give your 30-year-old self?
My 30-year-old self. So 10 years ago, July 5th. To be not afraid of communication, like, and confrontation, right? To not let things go so long, right? That they become harder and harder and harder, and they just build and build and build. So yeah, so just to get really good at communicating. And I mean, I'm even learning this at 40 and now in the dating realm and stuff like that.
Communication, just having a voice.
Exactly. And being able to speak it and not afraid of what will come of it, right? So that, and like I said, that's a conversation I'm even having with myself, but I know I'm 10 years more mature, and the self-development and journey I've been on, I know this is one area I need to work on, and why. And not to say like I'm happy that, you know, I had that, whatever, 16 years, it's a part of my life, and I have 2 beautiful children from it, and lots of experiences in a beautiful home, and all that other stuff, and got to experience a lot of things, and now I'm looking forward to the next like 50 years.
That's right. Last song.
It doesn't matter if you love him or capital H-I-M. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Lady Gaga before?
I haven't, but I've heard.
Oh, amazing.
I know.
I took my daughter to Lady Gaga probably about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Why do you love that song, Born This Way?
Because my mom will tell anybody this. I've always danced to the beat of my own drum, right? I am who I am, and this song is kind of again reliving itself, because I was with somebody that kept comparing me to others verbally to me, that I wasn't like so and so, or I didn't do this like so and so, or I wasn't speaking things right like so and so. And I could still remember the situation. It was right in my kitchen here when he was, you know, comparing me to another person, woman, mom. And it was after a self-development thing. And I just stopped. I started yelling. I said, I am not so-and-so. I am Lana Gunderson. I am. And he actually started backing up down our galley kitchen, because I had my finger out and I'm pointing at him. And he never ever did verbally compare me to anybody else after that. But yeah, Born This Way, I've always been different. My sisters can attest to my uniqueness, and so can my mom. And yeah, so that's why I love that song. There's so many things about it.
Yeah, and I think you just have to come to a time in your life that you are just comfortable in your own skin. And the only advice I would give to most people or anyone is do that sooner than later. Right? Start doing that sooner or later. Your life will be so much easier if you can do that sooner than later. Yeah. I hate that we have to, like, it's cool that we go through all these journeys in life, but that is something that I wish I learned in my early teens, because I had such a battle growing up, because I just didn't accept who I was, because people didn't accept who I was.
Yeah.
Right. So then that made me feel like there was always something wrong with me. It was just me. I was loud, fun, outrageous. And that was okay. But I was really shown that it wasn't okay. Right. You're too much. You're too much. You're too much. And I wish I had a mentor then that could say, no, like, embrace who you are. Right. That I had to grow up learning this even on my own, like even still on my own. Right. So I just so appreciate you for joining us today on Music Junkies. That was so much fun.
That was.
Loved it. I had such a good time. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, yes.